Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Dan, the voice behind ThatKaitoDan, and welcome to my analysis breakdown of the brand new opening for RWBY Volume 7. Before we begin though, I highly recommend that you do not watch this video until you've seen the first episode, let alone the opening itself, as much like Miles and Carrie warned the night before the premiere episode, there are heavy spoilers in the opening. And I will also be discussing details shown in the opening that relates to the episode, so if you don't want to be spoiled before checking out the first chapter, stay away. But yes, a new volume means a new intro to pick apart, so we can try to brainstorm what's to come and what themes will be at play. Not much else to say really, except let's dive into things. So for starters, let's first talk about the new theme song. As of this posting, the official name and lyrics are not out for it yet, but give it time and I'm sure Flint of RWBY will manage to fish it out of Jeff soon enough. For now though, folks are calling the song Trust Love, since that gets mentioned a lot in the lyrics, and it does embody the general tone of this song, that through dark times where you're unsure of what lies ahead, trust in the love and support you have with others to help you pull through, especially if you don't just wish for a better life, but you want to try and make it happen. With all the fear and strife that seems to be swallowing up Atlas, this is a nice uplifting tune that should represent how the heroes will be trying their best to help those in need. A nice change of pace from past songs being more about the heroes needing to rebuild themselves and find their own strength to push on after hitting rock bottom. It's almost like Team RWBY's spirit in musical form, and I can't wait for the full version. Now let's chat about them visuals, and oh my god, this is such an anime opening. Everything from the vivid colors and the flashy shots to the directing, the pacing and the transitions, it's like something ripped out of My Hero Academia or Soul Eater, and I'm all for it. While the song itself does still need some time for me to fairly judge it against the rest, already this has become my favorite opening just on the visuals alone. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Right from the bat, the opening splashes colourful silhouettes of our main 8 youngsters in a way that very much resembles the old silhouette teasers from way back in the series' infancy. Also, I expect to see a lot of mashups with the likes of Cowboy Bebop, My Hero Academia, and Teen Titans, just with these first few seconds alone. Though one of the more interesting details already is with Oscar. The farm boy is placed in the 3rd slot alongside Jean, Ren, and Nora, which could very well be suggesting that he's going to become the new P in Team Juniper. You could even say he's taking up the mantle.
God damn it, Barb!
I'm actually all for it, as I think it would be a great marker of growth for the lad to get into a team like this, and Oscar has solid chemistry with the B team. Hopefully this also means that we'll get to see more moments of Oscar bonding with characters besides RWBY, as even though I do adore the pair, it would be nice to see him connect with the rest of the group. After one of many cool transition shots of Team RWBY dusting their way into the logo, we have the first of many awesome sequences, with the girls flying through the air as their outfits switch from their classic attire to their time skip clothes and then their brand new looks for this volume. It's such a fan-servicey moment for those of us who have seen these girls change and grow over the years, and I love how each of them also soar through the air in their own unique way. Yang's smiling like the free-spirited firecracker she is while recoil blasting away, Blake's ninja fading through her clones mixes in beautifully with the costume changes, and she also shows her rebuilt Gamble shroud as seen in the promo art. Weiss just screams poise and elegance with her glyph hopping and rapier stances, and RWBY combines her trademark Crescent Rose recoils with her semblance for some super slick gliding. It's the perfect bubble of what each girl's personality is like, on top of being a smooth, flowing moment crossing the bridge into this new volume. Of course, with us finally being in Atlas at long last, we finally get to see General James Ironwood again, who's in the next shot overlooking a hologram of Atlas in his high-tech office. It's a simplistic and less cozy room than what we've seen from Ozpin or Lionheart's office, but that does say a lot about the General, straightforward and no fuss. Also, it's worth noting that the Amity Coliseum has returned after being last seen in Volume 3. Understandably, considering Atlas helped build the stadium, and with the Kingdom lockdown being a thing, it only makes sense for Ironwood to bring this back home with him. Maybe we'll see some more action up there in the future, but I do also wonder if these other hologram bits that kinda look like constellations are indeed that, the constellations of Remnant. They could maybe play into the plot somehow if that's a thing, though I kinda doubt it, and they're probably just techno filler for the projection. But you never know. We do know that Ironwood does have his focus dead set on protecting his kingdom, a point highlighted with a pan through the reflected shot of Atlas in his eye. And one way he looks to be making sure his homeland is safe is with the introduction of the Ace Ops, a squadron of highly trained military members that debuted in the first episode. I'll save more of my in-depth discussion on these lot for the episode review coming out hopefully tomorrow, but in terms of their opening appearance, there are a few things to point out. Save for the leader, whose name was revealed in the episode to be Clover Ebby, we can take some blind guesses at the names of his teammates thanks to their respective colour backdrops in the team's silhouette scene. Here are my blind guesses on the screen now. Clover himself also had what looks to be his emblem shown, which is a combination of a horseshoe and a 4-leaf clover, two elements both known for being lucky. Let that stew in your mind a little until the episode review. As for the rest of the group, we have a very pale looking man with piercings on his chin and a forehead crest, a wolf furnace, a very buff looking woman, and a girl with a buzz cut mohawk combo. We'll talk more about their weapons in a bit, but they do look pretty good, and I'm very curious to see what they're gonna bring to the table, especially in relation to the next shot, with their group image showing up on the screen of one Dr. Arthur Watts, or at least his mustache. We don't see the man himself fully, but his facial hair doesn't hide his smirk nor his evil intentions, and with the Aesops on his screen, there's a strong likelihood that he could be using them for whatever scheme he's cooking up next. Maybe he'll find some way to turn them to his side? Maybe hack in some fake orders that gets them and Ironwood into trouble with the populace? It might have something to do with what else is on his screen, as we see there's a box titled Mantle Security Network and a map of Mantle showcasing the current status of the city's election campaigns. Probably a strong guess that Watts will get his grubby mitts on the election mainframe, and perhaps will use it to cause further conflict in the city by rigging the votes. Before we move on, I do want to give massive praise to whoever made this next sequence, as Tyrion then appears in silhouette form and displays his iconic chaotic fighting style over the image of Watts hacking away. It's another shot in the opening that perfectly captures a major element of the featured characters, Watts working best behind the scenes, while Tyrion is front and center, slicing and dicing away in an almost gleeful manner, fitting for the guy who clearly loves his role as Salem's malicious fiend. And speaking of Salem, she's noticeably absent from this entire opening, as is Hazel, Emerald, Mercury, Cinder, and Neo. That begs the question then, will we see any of these lot in this volume? Or is it just going to be Watts and Tyrion for now, with the others still preparing for their respective next moves? Honestly, it wouldn't shock me if we didn't see Salem and her forces, as the Wicked Witch's full frontal assault on Atlas is something that I believe requires its own volume, and it might be too big to fit in with everything else that this volume seems set to focus on. As for Cinder and Neo, I could see them making a late game appearance since their conflict is more personal and self-contained, though that's still up in the air. Either way, I doubt Volume 7 will be our only volume in Atlas, so these missing faces could be a sign that they're being saved for the future, whilst Tyrion and Watts takes up the helm, causing the most trouble on the part of the villains. Ironwood then returns after shooting away the baddies, tying it into his main goal of course of finding a way to stop Salem once and for all. But the crestfallen look afterwards also paints a picture of a man who's clearly emotionally weak, perhaps feeling regretful of his actions and how it's affected his kingdom, or he's struggling to cope, burdening himself with the fight against Salem in Ozpin's absence. We're definitely set to see the General's turmoil lead to some very tasty drama in the near future, and what likely isn't helping his state of mind is the presence of Jacques Schnee and his new heir Whitley, who next swamp the General in a snowy mist before they come on screen. Definitely feels like a big hint to Jacques looking to take advantage of the worn down General to regain his profitable stature after the blows he's taken recently as the SDC Kingpin. And this also of course ties into everything surrounding Weiss, who is next seen alongside Winter. We're bound to see more family warfare now Weiss is back in Atlas, and whereas in the Volume 3 opening when Weiss and Winter were shown in a happy moment together, there's a distinct division feeling that I'm getting from this shot. Weiss is stood in the opposite direction to Winter, who is stern and empowering, whilst Weiss is unsure of what to make of her sister given her expression. The first episode does hint that Winter's role as the aiding official of the lockdown over Mantle isn't something that Weiss approves, but this alone is excellent body language storytelling here, and I'm fascinated to see where it goes. Odd there's no sign of Mama Schnee though. A lot of us are expecting to finally see her given the whole thirsty moms comment from RTX, so I guess that's a surprise for later. Following this, we have a quick shot of Maria alongside new-faced Pietro, again more in-depth discussion on him in the episode review, and after a classic panorama shot of the group readying for battle, we next see Penny. Yeah, she was pretty much the big reason why Miles and Kerry were warning folks to watch the episode first before the opening. And boy does she just look adorable. Again, I'll save my full thoughts on her return and more for the episode review, but this shot is just wholesome, and another positive note for this motivational theme of love and kindness in moments of pain and turmoil. Let's just hope that it's not a moment of joy meant to hide future pain for the chipper Robo Girl. And then it's time for some action shots, complete with our first in-motion looks at Jean, Ren, and Nora's new designs. I'm still absolutely loving Ren's new sleek arm sleeve and braided hairstyle, and while I'm still getting used to Nora's bright colours on her outfit, her look does suit her fine too. As for Jean, I feel much more content than I already was with his new short-haired hairstyle. It does suit him in my opinion, and complete with the rest of his new wardrobe, it makes him look that much more professional and less scruffy. Plus, it looks like his shield has also got an upgrade too, as he boots up some kind of hard light dust bladed edges on the side when fighting a saber. Works for me. I'm glad to see more offensive capabilities for the guy beyond his sword. And keeping with the theme of weapons, we get to see the Ace Ops again, fighting against an Ice Dust Gigas that was last seen in the trailer. In a blink and you'll miss a moment, the Mohawk girl zips on by with what looks to be weaponized footwear that could be using some electricity dust given the after trail, whilst the Wolf Faunus has a boomerang weapon that later is, of course, also shown to have a gun mode. The Pale Lad, by the way, moves way too quick for me to be exactly sure of what he's fighting with. What's not a mystery is the weapon of the Buff Girl, who is wielding a rocket booster hammer. Very cool, and I hope to see some interaction now between her and Nora over being the muscle girls with hammers on their teams. She's also oddly fighting barefoot, despite, the Atlas snow. But I dig it, especially with the added details of the marks on the soles of her feet. Nice attention to detail. Then we get another new face, a woman whose identity was teased in the first episode, but this is actually her first time that we see her model properly. Again, like the Aesops and Pietro, I'm going to talk more about her in the episode review, but we have been able to pull her name from the episode, that being Robin Hill. She's not too fond of Ironwood given her glare towards a bulletin of the General that's being targeted by some protesters, so even just by watching this episode by itself, it's safe to assume that she's going to be a rival figure to the General. Though back to the protesters, after one of them stupidly thinks throwing an object at a hologram is gonna do anything, it does quickly change the image from Ironwood to Jacques, again making me believe that Jacques is looking to usurp Ironwood through some of his trademark shady business tactics, which could also be making the public opinion of Ironwood worsen, since he's the public figurehead shouldering himself with the weight of his kingdom on his shoulders. In short, Jacques could be making things a lot worse for Atlas, and Ironwood is taking the blame for it. There is also some potential good news for Ironwood though, as the next scene shows him and Oscar in what looks to be a spot of combat training. It doesn't look like there's a legit fight going on, since the pair do share a smile together, so one has to wonder if the general is now aware of Oscar's link to Ozpin, and about his sabbatical inside the kid's head. I made a prediction on Portal 64's Vitalcast that I could see Ironwood looking to mold Oscar into the powerful ally that he wishes Ozpin could have been for him, so maybe this could be a sign of that coming true, with Ironwood training Oscar to fight, and in the process trying to convince Oscar to stay in Atlas and give the kingdom the leg up that Ironwood is looking for. Or he could just be happy to see his old friend again in some form, and he's trying to make up for his past mistakes, maybe feeling guilty over Ozpin's death. We also see Weiss and Blake getting their hands dirty, fighting off some Sentinel Grim in the dust mines, which hopefully means that we'll see these two working together to help improve the situation for the Faunus miners suffering down here. And in the last big action sequence, we see Tyrion in Mantle taking on both Robin, with what looks to be a wrist-mounted bladed firearm, and Crow, who's finally confirmed to be getting a new outfit as well. We can't get a real good look at it while he's fighting this quick, but I'm glad to see that he's not being left out in terms of the clothing changes. Not to mention, I'm very excited to see him take on Tyrion again, and see where this Robin character comes into play too. Given Tyrion is apparently Salem's primary hunter for the seasonal maidens, I'm beginning to have an idea on why Tyrion may have his sights on Miss Hill. Winter Maiden, anyone? Finally, we get a very shonen anime style closing shot of our main cast for this volume, with a better look at Crow's new gear as well. And then right at the end, we see Monty Ohm credited as ever as the series creator. But in the back is a quick flash of the Relic of Creation. First off, very fitting timing there with Monty's credit, and again it being the Relic of Creation. Secondly, props to Eba on Twitter, I hope I'm saying your name right, for this full image of the relic. Thirdly, I'm surprised it's got the same colour scheme as Jin's Lamp of Knowledge, at least in regards to the teal blue gem at the peak. I figured that the relics would be gold with a mix of the kingdom's colour to further connect to the relics appearing as the kingdom's emblems, but I do still like how the relic looks, and it sharing the same colour scheme as the lamp is really making me feel more confident in my relic beings theory being a actual thing. Go check out that video, and also check out my Oscar Semblance theory video. And that's it. That's all the tasty bits of intrigue that I could pick out and share my thoughts on. Again, in terms of the opening's quality itself, I am absolutely in love with the visuals, with its incredible anime-esque flair and the uplifting song, which is also top quality, though I do still need some time for it to simmer in my head. Same for all the tidbits I touched on. Obviously, a lot of what I could be speculating about could also end up being false, but it was still fun to scope through this and see what could come true. There's so much that could go down in this volume, and regardless of what happens, I cannot wait to watch it unfold. But let me know what you guys thought about this opening. Were there any details you agree with, or did I miss anything? Also, what's your take on the song and the visuals? Let me know in the comments down below, and while you're at it, hit the subscribe and bell buttons and tick the notification box to get every new video from me as they drop. Also, follow me on Twitter at ThatKaitoDan for more on anything to do with future RWBY content, updates on any general content for the channel, and more. But until next time, have a good day or good night, and peace out.